If you already did number 4, you can grab another sheet of paper. If you haven't done number 4, kind of cross that out and put this instead. Does anyone want to see, go over, have questions about any of those? Two. Before we answer number 2, I'm going to have you rewrite this so you remember this. Every time you see a horizontal or vertical line, you should be thinking this. Whether you write it is up to you. Alright, your toy bucks. I'm going to rewrite what those mean. Horizontal lines have 0 slope and are y equals. Vertical lines have undefined slope and are x equals. You don't have to write what they mean each time, but if you write the letters, it should help you remember what type of slope you're looking at, how to graph it, things like that. So for number 2, we're looking for the slope of this line. If it's horizontal, what is the slope of this line? 0. So m equals 0. Other questions in 1 or 3? Cameron? Sure. So number 1, you are counting the slope. If there are points there, use those. If not, find 2 points on grid lines. Count rise over run, so up or down first, then left or right. So here we can go down and to the right or up and to the left. Either or, does not matter. How many units, are we going down? Yeah. Say that again. Yeah. We are going down. How many units are we going down? -5. And then how many units to the right? 2. So that would be -5 over 2. If you can simplify, do that. Do not put your slope as a decimal, though. And then make sure you're putting m equals or equals m at the beginning or at the end. Okay. Questions on 4 or 5? Number 4 is the one you just wrote in. So remember, with all of these, you're using your slope formula. If you want to write those off to the side somewhere where you have space. M equals y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. Label your points if you need to. And then we can start putting it into that format. So we would have -2/3 minus 3/4 all over 3/4 minus a -2/3. We would need to get common denominators for everything. Multiply by 4, multiply by 3. That was backwards. So that would become 8 over 12 minus 9 over 12 all over 9 over 12. You can either leave it as minus minus or put plus. Yes, nature. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. I don't think anyone caught that inside it, but okay. Alright, so for subtracting, this is -17 over 12 over 17 over 12. So at that point, you can either put it in your calculator, you'd have to do alpha y equals, and do it twice more. So I am going to do that, but in a second. Or you can do it by hand, so I'm going to rewrite it down here. To do it by hand, you would take the denominator fraction, flip it, and multiply it to both pieces. This entire denominator is going to cancel, become 1. This is going to cancel and just be left with this negative. If I were to put it all in, we could use that as a way to check ourselves. Did we get and do this correctly? I'm going to do that really fast. So that was from earlier, so disregard that. So alpha y equals, and then in the numerator, do it again. And then all the way in the denominator, do it again. So negative 17 over 12 and 17 over 12. You could also think about it like the fractions are almost the same. So 1 over 1 would be 1. It's basically saying the same thing. Questions on that one? And then, did we have a question or want to see 5? So with 5, remember that if you see the same x's or y's, you'll either have undefined or 0, depending on what it is. So this would be negative 2 minus 7 over negative 11 minus negative 11. So our numerator will give us negative 9. What happens in the denominator? Becomes 0. Negative 9 over 0 is what? Not 0.
Undefined.
Undefined. Anything over 0 is undefined. 0 over anything is 0. Okay. Questions on 6 through 9? Matthew? Did you have a question? Okay. Nature? 6. 6 is more for writing, but we'll do it anyway. So if we have to write a linear equation, it has to be in slope-intercept form. They give us the slope, they give us the y-intercept. So it would be y equals 1, or you can leave the 1 out, x minus 7. Questions on 7, 8, or 9? Cameron? Yes. So for 8, we have to identify the slope and y-intercept. We can't do that from this. We need to convert it first. How do we do that? How do we get it back to slope-intercept form? Lily? We have 5y. Go ahead and switch these so the x term comes first. And then we have y equals negative 2 over 5x plus 4. But that doesn't answer the question. What is your slope? What is your y-intercept? Matthew?
It's 4.
Which is 4? The slope or the y-intercept?
The y-intercept.
Yes. So the y-intercept is 4. leaving the -2/5 to be our slope. Remember that the variables for those two, b is y-intercept, m is slope. Questions on that? Did 9 is very similar. Did we have questions on 7? We are again identifying the slope and y-intercept. It's already in slope-intercept form. So what is your slope? What is your y-intercept? Lily? Not the slope. I'm sorry, you were right. Yep, the slope is -3, yes. The y-intercept is camera. It is 0. Right. On the next page. Questions on 12 or 13. We'll do one of those if you have questions on those. Nature. Yeah, you can make it fast. Questions on either of those two, 12 or 13? We're going to skip 14 and 15 because those are really x and y intercepts and we did that already. Questions on 16 or 17? Victoria? Okay. So for 16, I'm going to write my equivalent off to the side here. This is a y equals, so it has to be a horizontal line. Start at -2 on your y-axis. Since it's horizontal, straight, right and left. I know there aren't a whole lot of actual graphing problems in this. Just remember when you're doing graphing, start at your y-intercept, then do your slope points, fill up your graph. Okay, go on to the next page. Questions on 1 or 2? Or 3 or 4? So here, they give you a bunch of different lines. If you need to outline them, highlight them, whatever, I'm going to do that so you can kind of see which lines are which. So they have this line for A, this line for B, this one for C, and this one for D. It's asking which one has a slope of 3/4. So we know it's not going to be A or D. For the others, you'll need to count your slope and see which one it is. So I would say start at your y-intercept. If I'm doing B first, find another point that crosses the grid lines exactly. So like this point up here. And then count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Seems like it's backwards. It's 4/3 instead of 3/4. Let's see if C does better. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. It is C. Questions on 5 or 6? Then go on to the next page. 9 and 10 are kind of like what we, Nope, we didn't actually do one of those. Or like 12 and 13 from the previous page. So we're not going to do those. But questions on 7 or 8? Cameron? Okay. So one of these graphs is going to be our answer. We need to convert this first. So get rid of x, subtract it. So negative y equals negative x plus 3. Divide everything by negative 1. If you don't do that, you're going to end up with the wrong graph. So y equals x minus 3. Of these 4 graphs, which one matches that equation?
C.
C. Because the y-intercept is at negative 3. If we count the slope, it's going up 1, right 1 is all the way, and then down the left 1. So C is our answer for that one. On to the next page. 11 and 12 are more intercepts. So is 13 really. If you were doing it by hand, you would need to convert the ones that are not in standard form, or sorry, the ones that are in standard form, and then figure out which ones have a y-intercept of 5. We're not going to do that one. Do we have questions on 14 or 15? And then if not, turn to the back. So the back page, I think, is one of the pages that you got last class. It might be the exact same page. So instead of doing those again, I have other problems on the separate sheet of paper, but you can ask questions from either or. Any of those you see, you want to go over, have questions about, what to do. Sure. Which one? One on which page? The separate page. That is this one. Mm-hmm. Yes. Alright, so we have to describe and then graph. So notice that this has a negative and a 3, so that means 2 things are happening. What happened? Matthew?
The slope is reflected.
Yes. So I just circled the negative and put that with it so you know that's where that goes or what that came from. What else? Nature? Did it shift up?
Shifting down.
Did it shift down? Is there a plus or minus at the end of this?
No.
No. So what happened to the y-intercept? Okay. So the y-intercept stayed the same, yes. And then the other thing that happened, the slope became steeper by 3 times as steep, whatever. So since really the slope changed and not the y-intercept, the y-intercept is going to stay the same, put it back at 0, 0. Your slope is 3, but it's now negative 3. So we're going to go up and left. So up 3, left 1, as many times as possible. Down 3, right 1, as many times as possible. Other questions on this page? We may have time to do one more before lunch. Lily. On the same page? Yeah. So what changed with this plus 2?
The y-intercept shifted up.
Yes. Y-intercept shifted up to? What happened with the slope?
It stayed the same.
Correct. So then your new y-intercept, you're going to go up 2. Slope is the same, so up 1, right 1 as many times as possible, fill the graph. And then draw that line. If you have more questions on this, we'll do that briefly when we come back from lunch. On the same page. For number 3, we are comparing the slope and y-intercept of this original to the slope and y-intercept of this one that's given. So, is the graph or the function of g of x shifted up or down compared to the original? Lily? Down. How do you know that? So remember that shifted up or down is your y-intercept, so that's what those are comparing. The graph of g of x, or the function, is steeper or less steep than the original. What do we think for that one? Yes, you have a 50% chance. Lily. So the 1/5 means it's less steep because this is 1 and 1 is greater than 1/5, so less steep. If the new slope was greater than 1, then it would be steeper. Okay. Other questions? Lily.
On the first, do you want us to, like, if this question do you want us to put it?
No, I was just doing that so when you go back and look at this, if you need to, you know what it was referring to. Anything else? Cameron.
A for
So it's now comparing this original, which will never change, and this graph. It's talking about the slope. What is the slope of this? Two over 3. So 1. There's only one of these things that has 2 and 3 in it. If it said divided by 2/3, that would be incorrect because that would make it 3/2. 2/3 more than or 2/3 less than would also be incorrect because slope isn't more or less than. Alice? Okay. So for the y-intercept, what is that for this? It's what? It's -3, yes. Those should all be 30. Right, that's what I was saying. Got it.
so technically it is 3, we should say that.
Yeah, the wording there was wrong. Other questions on this? Cameron. So for number 5, they tell us our new graph is going to be shifted up 5 units and 1/2 as steep. What would our new y-intercept be? Really? Oh, 5. Up 5. And our new slope? Half. So we need to just plot 2 points. So we plotted one for the y-intercept. Use your slope, plot one other. It does not matter. Any other specific or general questions? If not, go ahead and clear off your desk. Keep your calculator and your pencil. Remember that you guys can work together. When you finish, you can turn it into the tray. As you finish, if you need to work on retake work, finish tests, you can come see me and grab that.